So I was thinking, and this one is this is probably begs a follow up video just to clarify this with regards to supporting a friend through addiction. I think it's important to note that it's not just listening um, we talk about listening, and most of our listening is, let's just say, we sort of give listening a the basically the nature of listening, or whatever you want to call it, is such that we don't really stop and look at, like, how do we listen? How do we listen to people around us? What are we listening for? What are we listening to? What's going on in the background for us while we're listening? Are we really listening? Um, I think most of the time when we take for granted our listening, like we're not really thinking about or being conscious of our listening, we're not listening at all. And this is most of, if not all the time. I know this sounds crazy, and like I'm sure I think I'm a great listener, and I don't think, like, I probably don't do it very often. Uh, so it's important to know what's uh, what's like in the way between you and the actually hearing someone. Um, so let's just say there's like a spectrum, right? There's like not listening at all, and then there's college level trained listening. College is a bad way to say it. Maybe it's just like expert listening. Okay. Now, most of us listen just basic. We're not trained to listen. Maybe therapists are trained more to listen. Maybe coaches train more to listen, and maybe I can't even think of like what an expert listener might look like. I might be a therapist or a coach, but so like I think the distinction there is, like, they're sitting there listening to you with a commitment to something. Like a therapist or a coach sits there and hears you because they're being paid to do so, right? But when you're just with your friend or your family or your colleagues, you're not being paid to listen, right? So there's no incentive to sit there and actually get every single word, and it doesn't mean that you're not doing that. So doesn't mean that you're not, like, don't respect or love or cherish them or whatever. It just means that, like, our listening is so unconscious to us that we don't even stop and adjust how that looks. So most of the time we're thinking about, in a conversation, I think at best we're thinking about what we're going to say next, or what I mean, at worst, probably we're thinking about something entirely different, not even listening at all, right? But there's always something going on up here that's ready to spew out the next thing, the next, the response to whatever it is being spoken of. So what does listening really look like? And that's, if you were to really get and listen to your friend in this case, let's just say that you see through their eyes. This is the best way I can say it. And I don't know if this is even the answer. I just know, like, I have experienced listening differently. Like, most of the time I'm not listening, but every once in a while I see life through other people's eyes. I see their circumstances through their eyes. I see their thoughts and their feelings through their experience. I see as if I'm them. So a lot of times in the listening, there's something at stake. Like, if you're, for instance, and in my case this happens, like if you're in a disagreement with your spouse, right? You're, what's there is like something at stake, like your identity, your ego is there fighting the fight with you, if that makes sense. So your listening has the intention of putting you in the right and them in the wrong, if that makes sense. So, and I think when it comes to addiction, we also have this sort of, well, not addiction is right and addiction is wrong. So when you hear what they're saying, it might occur to you as what they're saying is, well, you might be justifying it as they say it. You might be thinking about why what they're doing is wrong. You might be ready to give them answers to each thing that they're saying. So set all that aside. That's going to be there, by the way. That's already happening. You don't even have to worry about it. It's like you're going to go into any conversation with anyone for that matter, but specifically with this person that is your friend, colleague, family member that you want to listen to, and you're going to be already thinking of stuff. You're going to be already not listening, okay? That's the good news, but you want to tune into what are you already not listening? What's going on for you that you're not doing that? The next step is because this is moment by moment happening in your awareness, okay? You're noticing that, oh my God, I'm not listening. So now this is where it gets, you got to interrupt stuff, right? You can't just, oh my God, I'm not listening. And then now you're talking to yourself about not listening. And then now you're still not listening, right? And so on and on. So what might be there between you and that person is a judgment or an assessment of them or their character or their, what they're dealing with. You might need to, and it depends, right? This is situational. You might need to say that out loud. Hey, you know what? I decided that what you were doing was wrong. Or I decided that I know better than you. And I've decided that, do you know what I'm saying? So you want to interrupt that by either acknowledging it out loud or simply, now this is you got to set it aside. You got to get over there in what they're saying and really try it on like it's yours. So, you got to look through I would have picked up a crack pipe too, right? Or I would have picked up a needle as well. If I was there in that moment, I would have done that too. That's a hard thing to wrap your head around. We all think that, oh, we would make a better decision. You're not in those eyeballs. You're not in that experience, that circumstance, that moment with that person. You're disconnected. That's important to really get. That's important to get and to get that that's not even real either, because all you're doing is you're in your own illusion. What you're talking about to yourself about that you're morally superior than that person is an illusion. It's not real. It's not you're not in that situation. You've not been perturbed by the same circumstances, life experiences, past, view of life is not there. So it doesn't even matter what you're talking about. And they're not even going to hear you if you say anything about that. Oh, there's just another person telling me what I should do. Let that go. Let it go. That's not you being connected or even concerned or in love with that person. That's just simply you in your own thing. Now, set that aside. Now there's a space to listen, because all of your stuff is gone. And all you got to do is oh, I would do that. I would pick up the needle and put it in my arm. I would pick up the drink and drink, a gallon of vodka. I would do that. And you're, so you don't have to overtly say that, but you gotta be like, oh, I would do that. That's me over there. That's me. And then you're going to start to get that's an opening for communication. That's what communicating is. It's like if someone's trying to communicate that experience with you, really be in that with them. All right. I hope that wasn't too rambly. I don't even know if these are useful, so give me some feedback. Thanks.